Hello and welcome to this tutorial on masking in Affinity Photo 2. Masking is a very powerful technique that allows us to hide or show different parts of our image in a non-destructive way so that we can easily update our masks at any stage in editing. And there are two main types of masks that we will use, a pixel mask and a vector mask. So to begin with, I have an image here. It's actually just a JPEG image of a chair that I pulled in to Affinity Photo. You will see the background by default is locked. I'm actually going to unlock that by clicking on the little icon here in the layers panel. And I'm going to rename it chair because having a layer called background is kind of meaningless to me. We'll also be needing the color panel up top and the adjustments panel down below. So if you configure your interface like this, or at least know where to find these panels, it'll help as we move through this tutorial. Now, Affinity Photo is a bitmap or raster editor, but it does also provide some vector functionality for convenience. And it's good to be really clear in your head when you're using a pixel-based tool or a vector-based tool. So if I choose, for example, an ellipse, I'm now using a vector-based tool. If I use the pen here, it's a vector-based tool. So an ellipse, and if I hold shift to constrain the ellipse to a circle, I will create a shape like this, which I can move around freely on the screen. Now, if it happens by default that you get a look like this, where you just see the outline and no fill, just make sure you select a white fill, because a mask is white or black or some shade in between. Right, now that we have this, it's very simple. We make sure we have the ellipse layer selected. We can right click and choose mask to below. Two things immediately happen. Our image updates. Notice that we can now move this, it's like a viewport into our image. Maybe that part's kind of cool. And over in the mask, in the layers panel, if we use this little arrow to open things up, you can see that ellipse that we created is now a child layer of chair. And it's a particular type of child layer because it's a mask. Okay, so this is how it's represented over here, which is quite amazing because we can just undo it by moving the layer, for example. Right, so this is valuable. We can pick up the whole thing. We can move around just this layer. Again, which layer is selected over here is important to how the pointer and all your other tools will function. Now I will demonstrate a simple use of a pixel layer. So with my chair layer selected over here, if I go down to mask layer, it will create a new blank layer mask. By blank, I mean it's completely filled with white. So all of the parent image is revealed. But if I choose, say, a paint tool and make sure I have black as the ink color, then I can start painting out regions because black hides. It is a mask. But you can see that since I have a paintbrush type tool, it has a soft edge, and there are gray regions which are neither completely shown nor completely hidden. They are translucent or they have a certain opacity value. So it's quite possible with a combination of tools to create creative masking in this way. The next thing I would like to demonstrate, because it comes up so often, is how you might want to apply your masks to an adjustment layer. So first of all, I'm going to delete the existing mask to go back to the beginning, and then I'm going to choose a suitable adjustment layer from the panel down here. And in this case, I'm going to focus on color, a very common task. If I click my HSL adjustment, and let me go to the pointer tool so I don't have a giant thing on my screen, you can see that you can adjust the hue or the chroma amount of your image here. Not the amount actually, but the part of the spectrum that it occupies. So if I go over here, I've changed the couch to red. Now this is working very nicely for one simple reason. The original image had color only in one small area. The rest of it is effectively monochrome, but this is not strictly true. You may not be able to see in the video, but the tint is changing everywhere on the screen. It's perhaps most visible in the top right where we have some light spill from a window, and it becomes distinctly actually green up here when I do that. So really, we don't necessarily want to use this on the entire image. We want to only use it on the part of the image that in fact has that red color to shift it blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this adjustment layer on top, which effectively functions the same way for the time being because we have no other layers. And now I can mask this using the same techniques I've already demonstrated. So if I create a layer mask and let's show where it is there. And now I can start painting in black. Sure, I'll just use the paintbrush tool. And you might not really be able to see what's happening. It's subtle, but it is getting rid of this color tint that I accidentally introduced. So I'm just going to be really rough here about this. There we go. You can sort of see, actually if I move the mask out here, you can see what I've done, and maybe this can be used to improve the results. This needs to be blacked out. This needs to be blacked out. And so on. Of course, I could also use vector tools to get really more accurate around my color area. I can use color selection tools as well to do this, but I'm just going to stick to what I've told you so far in this video. There we go. And now I move that back in there. So it may not be obvious again, but now I'm absolutely not adjusting color here or here. I'm only adjusting color in the mask area. So there you go. You can mask adjustments. How cool is that? Very handy. So hopefully this has been a good introduction to masking, and I've shown 3 useful techniques. From here, it's all about practicing them, discovering the different ways that the tools combine, and just being creative. There's plenty of advanced tutorials out there on the internet, so have fun, and see you next time.